Just for people who don't know who you are or what you do, give me a little bit of information about your background.
Well, my name is Shilo Jama. Born and raised in Seattle, and I spent a lot of time living on the streets of the University District. And the reason I do the work I do is because I was living in an abandoned building, and one of my very close friends was laying next to me, and we both used heroin, and he died. And I woke up, and I was kind of tired of the abuse. I was tired of the conditions people living on the streets, and seeing people in increasingly horrible poverty, with massive wounds, living in abandoned buildings, completely unsanitary. And I wanted to do something. And so I went to all these nonprofits, and I said, I want to change the conditions, I want to do this. And they said, you're a homeless junkie, the only thing you're going to do is die. There's nothing you could do for us. And there was an illegal Canadian named Bob Quinn who started a needle exchange, and he did it because he worked for a hospice, and he was having a lot of HIV patients, and he was tired of the people he really loved dying. And he looked into it and saw that if you did syringe exchange and you gave people clean syringes, you could stop the spread of HIV. He was a very big mentor to me of understanding the world's not going to change on your schedule, and you're going to have to prove why it can happen. And you are going to have to humanize people who society feels are not like non-humans. And you're going to have to see people always putting stigma on the folks that you serve. And you see them as friends and family, because that's what they are to you, right? The reason people care about the heroin crisis is not because poor people were dying, because the U District has had an overdose rate, and I've had to bury friend after friend, generation after generation. I myself had to do underground naloxone distribution because naloxone is a life-saving medicine for an overdose. I had to do it illegally for 10 years just to make sure people were alive in our neighborhood, and no one cared. Everyone told me why we couldn't do this. And then when middle-class and rich white kids were dying, the world got turned upside down. And so for me, and my journey has always been I started working at syringe exchange. And, at first, all we could do was cry for the ones who didn't have a chance. I was the witness to the pain and suffering of a generation. And things incrementally, slowly got better. And when I became the executive director of the People's Harm Reduction Alliance, we were founded to save the University District needle exchange. People have this assumption of the problem in the community, but you don't.
Yeah.
We've now made it a little harder to overdose. And every little thing we do, that has to be the goal. We have to keep people alive, because I don't want another generation like myself who know more dead people than living people.
So is there an ultimate goal here in terms of being completely drug-free? You get what I'm asking you? Is there in your mind, do you think there's any advantage to that?
Well, here's what I said. One, every American uses drugs. Mm-hmm. Everyone's using some sort of substance, right? Mm-hmm. And we've deemed some substances okay, and some substances not okay.
Yeah.
And let's be also really honest, that was completely random. They're not based on which is healthier, which is safer, because you can die from a detox of alcohol, but you can't die from a detox of heroin, right? And so our goal is to build the best human beings and inspire people to reach for their dreams and reach for the stars. If you are continually wronged and you're continually told you're not good enough, you will eventually be not good enough. Yeah. But if we get people to love themselves and get the support around them to engage the world, we're gonna have people who use a lot less drugs.